So, hi everyone again. My name is Maria, and I am a project manager at Eurosuccess Consulting. So today we're going to share with you the basic steps and concept of the Human Library activity. So let me start by sharing my screen with you. Give me a second. Okay, so we will start by presenting the Human Library concept and then move on to our two guest participants from Cyprus today, who will share their stories with us. And this presentation is quite interrelated to the themes presented by Esmovia. So today's session follows a quite nice cohesion. Let's think first. So here we have different words that might describe different people or features of people. So we have a refugee, we have a homosexual, a schizophrenic, a person positive to HIV, a homeless person, and a drug addict. And when you see these words or encounter these people, I'd like you to think what they might face by other people or the community itself. So think about the challenges that might face these people. And I'd like you to submit your answers by following Menti. So I would like you to go to menti.com and type this code here that you should see on my screen right now. It might be easier to use your phone or not. You can use your computer. So write any words or terms that first come to your mind when you about what you think that these people that we described a bit earlier might face in society or might face by other people. And let's give about 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so some terms started showing up. You can submit multiple times if you want to. Okay, so there are different answers that came up. We have exclusion, discrimination, prejudices. We have words like fear, special needs. We also have the other side, which is peace and love. But what would like to point out is that these words, sorry, give me a minute. So many times our responses were already influenced to some degree by pre-existing ideas and concepts. And this exact pre-existing way of thinking that the Human Library tries to challenge. So let's dig into this concept. So the Human Library began as an international organization and movement that was created in Denmark in the spring of 2000. And it basically began as a project to raise the awareness against youth violence in Copenhagen, but the idea soon spread all over the world. So the original event lasted for 4 days, and it was open for 8 hours daily, featuring over 50 different titles. And by titles, I mean different personal stories that people narrated to other people. So thousands of participants went to this Human Library event, and they heard stories about prejudices and stereotyping. Today, it is estimated that the Human Library has been presented in more than 80 countries around the world. So what is the point of having a Human Library implemented? So the Human Library provides a safe environment for people wishing to engage in conversations under the notion of respect and sharing of experiences. And when sharing their stories, people reveal a part of their life with others with no fear of judgment or rejection. So this experience generates instant appeal and engages the public with crucial issues like equality, diversity, human rights, exclusion, etc. So what are the exact objectives is to acknowledge and challenge these stigma or prejudices, to create a real dialogue between the participants, cultivate notions of respect and empathy, facilitate acceptance and tolerance, and ultimately change people's attitudes towards community members that are in risk of exclusion or marginalization, and therefore take action in order to address these issues. So basically, the Human Library works towards creating or achieving social inclusion. So what are the main elements? We have the human books. So it's the volunteers who have experienced some sort of discrimination or represent social groups that are in risk of stereotyping, etc. And then we have the readers, who are basically the people who want to find out these personal stories and what is the meaning that lie behind these human books. But who can be a human book? Basically, a human book can be any person that has a story to tell, any person that has experienced some sort of discrimination or a bad personal story. This can range from a homosexual person to a person that had experienced PTSD, all the way to a basic parent that has a kid in school who is bullied. So basically anyone that has a story to narrate. So moving on to the practicalities, in order to understand how the Human Library works, you need to think about an actual library. So in a library, visitors go through a broad catalog with available titles and subjects, and they choose the book that they want to read, and they borrowed it for a limited duration, and after reading, they return the book and they borrow another. So the Human Library follows the exact same methodology, but the difference is that the books are basically real people, and instead of reading, a conversation is developed between the books and the readers. So in a Human Library, the readers will browse a catalog provided by the Human Library, collecting all titles of the books. With the help of the organizers, the readers approach these people that are willing to tell their story, and they sit with them and listen to their story. So by volunteering, these books give the permission to readers to ask questions back about their lives and experiences, and therefore create a conversation between them. So if we break down the steps into implementing a human library, there are basically 8 steps in order to implement and evaluate the human library concept. So as a first step, you set the aims and objectives. So you select the method that best suits your intended aims. Either these concern human rights, diversity, equality, etc., or the learning objectives. So you might, for example, want to develop empathy or storytelling skills or team building in a class. As a second step, you clarify the roles. So you set up an organizational team for admin, logistics, selection of the books, and preparation and promotion. And you allocate the responsibilities and provide clear instructions for each of these persons. As a third step, you choose a venue. So you need to think, will the Human Library be part of a conference or a festival, or will it be a standalone event? So you need to think about the location, the appropriate space, the facilities, the availability of transportation, and basically all the practical steps that you need to take. As a fourth step, and once you achieve the first 3 steps, you need to promote the event. So you create a visual identity for your event, for example, logo and motto. You make your event public to attract volunteers and readers, and you can use any suitable means. For example, you might be able to use your social media, a website. You can send out emails or make phone calls, or even hand out printed materials out on the street. That depends on your exact target group. As a fifth step, you need to discover the books. So you recruit the human books, you train them beforehand if this is needed, and you explain the methodology and process. So you define the book titles according to the subjects you wish to tackle during the event. And you also need to make sure that you feel they feel comfortable engaging in conversations with the readers. As a sixth step, you need to identify skilled librarians. These are the people who will be part of the organizing team, and they will be responsible for intermediating the relationship between the readers and the books. So they will demonstrate good communication skills. They need to be patient, they need to be friendly and open to cooperate with others. In step 7, you implement the event. So on the day of the event, you need to make sure that everything is prepared, the logistics, the materials, the participants. You need to make sure that a good rotation between the readers and the book is achieved. So you usually allow for at least 30 minutes per conversation, and this is usually a one-by-one conversation. And you also need to make sure that you offer sufficient breaks. And the final step is to evaluate the event, which is also quite important. So at the end of the day, you may ask the feedback by books and the readers, and you collect as much data as you can to evaluate the effectiveness of the event. And this is especially important if you want to implement the event in the future. So these are basically the main steps for implementing the human library. So before moving on to our participants and an example from Cyprus, I want to show to you. A very core theme of the human library concept is the power of storytelling. So we need to make sure that the human library stories are not just fairy tales about good versus bad. And that is, when you listen to a book at the human library, you recognize that a story matters and you are more able to get rid of the various prejudices that affect these human relations. So it's an opportunity to celebrate cultural diversity and makes efforts towards the well-being of all community members by basically bringing positive change in society. So this is a real example from Cyprus. That was a human library event that was organized in 2016 and included migrants from diverse backgrounds living in Cyprus, for example, people from Palestine, from Sudan, Cameroon, etc. And they shared their tales with the public. So this was quite successful as around 6,000 refugees and 2,500 asylum seekers were invited to tell their stories. And guests rotated every 30 minutes, going from table to table and listening to one book after another. The quotes that you see above are basically real feedback from both books and readers that share their opinions about the event. My personal favorite one is the first one, where it says, "We hear about this every day on television, but it's different to be confronted with it directly." And this is a core point of the human library. So many times we hear about people who are bullied in school, people who had to flee their country for a better future, people who face discrimination. But in reality, we don't really do any practical action because we just hear this on social media and television. But when you confront people that have experienced this in front of you, you basically cultivate the feeling of empathy and the need to take immediate action in order to change that and achieve more equality in society. So before moving on, some tips and insights. This is really important for your participation in the human library activity that is going to be followed. To get the conversation going, you can ask various things to human books, and remember that there are no silly questions. And some of the sample questions are, for example, what do people assume about you? Or what's a good or bad thing that's happened in your life? If there's a community or support system that you're part of, or is there any advice that you could give to someone going through a situation similar to yours? This is just some of the sample questions. And finally, the rights of both books and the readers. The first and most important one is to be treated with respect, to ask and answer questions, as we mentioned. The books also have the right to refuse answering a question if they don't want to. So this might be the case of some questions that might seem a bit delicate or more sensitive to answer. And finally, the books and the readers are able to end the conversation if they wish to. So this is the final slide of this presentation. So what will follow now is we have two guests from Cyprus. We have Sedrick and we have Navid. Both will share their stories with us. And what we can do is we would, to get the conversation going, each one of us can ask questions about the experience that we are going to hear in order to get the flow of the conversation starting. Be careful not to ask too sensitive questions, or if the participants feel that these questions are too sensitive, they are able to not answer. Okay, so if there are no questions by this point, we can allow Navid to start if he wants.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here and having me here. So before I start, I want to start with a question. You don't necessarily need to answer it, just a standing question for all of us that are here. I want to ask everybody that why are we here today? Is it a career-based thing? Is for a job, or it's out of curiosity, or just participation, or taking a direct action, or sometimes just to fulfill our guilt in a very psychological state that we think we are taking an action. And before I start again, I wouldn't mind any silly or sensitive question if you want to ask later. So I will start just simply my story, not necessarily a bitter story or a sweet one. It's just the experience I have been through as a foreigner living in another country. So before I moved from my country, I'm from Iran originally. At some point, for 1,001 reason, decided to leave my country and come to Cyprus. Before coming here, me myself, at least I could say in a mental state, had this different, putting aside some people from another, I could say through homosexual, I could say through even foreigner, not necessarily in action, but in a very mental state. I would always defer or put myself above the others, belonging to other groups. So this was my very background before I come to Cyprus, before I leave my homeland. Coming to Cyprus was a really adventurous trip. Specifically the trip that how we made it to Cyprus. We had no idea how we gonna get here. We were brought by some people, very difficult, very dangerous, even though we didn't take it really serious. But now that I look back, the whole process was really passing from border, running where the soldiers are few hundred meters around you and they can shoot you. We had no idea. The guide was shouting to us, just run, and otherwise you're gonna get hurt. Then coming to Cyprus, the very first lap of the racism, I wouldn't call it, this social inclusion, was, I believe you could feel it anywhere. It very much depends. If you would wear a tourist mask, you wouldn't feel it that much. You would be much more respected. If you would get more into the local thing, if you wanted to go work or to go for shopping or sometimes stick out, you would feel it much more by the people, random people, not everybody, but something that would hurt you. Sometimes people wouldn't show it verbally, but you could see toward the attitude that how they look you down or whatsoever. Then it's, I mean, for me again personally, that I knew I could say I was a kind of a snob people. I was coming from the other side, that now I am other side of the mirror, you know, looking people down. That was kind of I could say breaking me to pieces, you know, making me from, if I was 1 or 2, making me back to 0, breaking me completely. So there is no pre-structured Navid, and Navid would be 2 pieces to nothing. And even though later on I can see that that was really the best I could get from the situation, but in that part was, in that time was really hurtful. And the reaction toward that, as I can say, it was just stepping back, just not fighting or not trying to avoid it. It was just ignoring, I would call it. I usually ignore things by smile, you know. That's my defensive system. I would smile. Then coming to Cyprus and going through, you know, all the visa work and this, and constantly seeing those, you know, those injustice, I would call it. Let's say, I would just tell you an example. Those times we used to go to immigration to do our paperwork, because I didn't have enough money. I wanted to save money, so I would walk a long way to go to the immigration office. And over there, it was, I remember they had a separate room for artists that was specifically for girls working in cabaret. So I would go maybe from 8 o'clock there, sit all day. People would go in or not, it wouldn't be my turn. I would see the girls that going in that specific room, being treated very specially, not necessarily better or worse, but very specially. 10 of them, 20 of them would come in, and then at 1 o'clock, some guy would come and tell me, okay, it's not your turn, come again tomorrow. And we would go again, you know, sit there all day. Our job might be done or not. Going through all this, in some point, I met a partner, and in that time, I remember I had a really difficulty with my visa. I had a very special case. I had my last year because of a letter I have from Prime Minister. And then with my partner, we decided, okay, our solution would be that we marry. We wouldn't marry so soon if it wasn't because of helping me. So we said, yes, let's do it. We get married. And then again, we went through a really, really hard time because the government would not let us to marry, not directly, but indirectly. They ask you specific papers that you can't get your hands on. So we start from one city to the other, to the municipalities. So church rejected us at the very first because I was not a Christian in paper. And then we were from one city to the other municipality. So somebody could help us. Nobody could help us. I remember in the very last one that we went, the guy promised us that he's gonna do something, and he couldn't, unfortunately. And it was the last time that my partner started to cry. she's Cypriot. She started to cry, and it was like, you know, the dead end for us, because I had to go back, and, you know, things would get really complicated. But we were not going to give up. Thanks to some, can I tell you, to some unknown ways, or under the table ways, we finally managed to get married together. And from there on, I was, at least by the paper, I was okay. Then I could say, when I completely managed to come out of this, to come out of this idea of that I'm different, or I'm lower, or people are treating me in a different way, was very much back to first finding circle of people that I trust, locally or not. That gives you very kind of comfort. I think is, again, you see yourself belonging to a place. And very, very, very important thing, I think, was that accepting myself, accepting, seeing myself again, you know, my vulnerable parts, my weakness or my strong part, and seeing myself much more clear in the mirror. That actually gave me the chance to be able to not really pay attention to injustice happening around me. Not that it's not happening anymore, but I would say that I do not see it in that way anymore. I mean, if somebody does a racist act to me, I just put it on his lack of education, or lack of knowledge, or lack of compassion. That's kind of my defense system through it. This is more or less what I can say for now. Yeah.
Thank you, Navid, for this quite emotional story, I would add. Does anyone want to ask Navid something? So I have a short question, if I could.
Please.
So you mentioned that if you encounter like a hate talk or a racism action by someone, you are able to encounter that with the notion that they might lack education or something similar to that. Was it always like that? Because in Cyprus, despite of the support system that you might have from some people, that there's still like a strong notion of racism going around. So was it always like that?
I wouldn't say it was always like that. It was hurting me until the time that self-acceptance came to me. I mean, it hurt until I was seeing myself also as an underdog, or a, you know, lower. But since I was able to see my place, to see the actual me in the place I'm living, kind of the hurt part, you know, that getting hurt slowly vanished and went away. And just I see sometimes, you know, it might be a instant anger, but when the anger goes down, I just see a normal person. I see myself when I was back in my country. I see myself 20 years ago, that I wasn't really meaning to be bad. It was just my lack of you know, lack of knowledge, lack of education, lack of compassion. It wasn't intentional. the difference that I was putting between me, myself, and a homosexual. It was just simply the lack of education, I would call it.
And there's one more question by Heriklia, wondering if your job helped you to feel part of the society.
Indeed, it definitely it did. We started with my brother in some point our own thing, working with our hand and wood, making furniture and blah blah. And indeed, it gives us very much self-acceptance, self-confidence, and kind of a thing that would keep our mind focused on that. You know, it really helped, I could say. Yes.
And I also have a question for Navid.
Yes.
Like after telling us your story and what you passed through, how do you feel today?
I feel great. I feel great with all the, you know, all the up and down that I have in my personal and in the universal life we are seeing as a collective. I feel great, and one thing that I mentioned it, or I would like to mention it again, that I see myself really lucky that coming to Cyprus, coming to a second country, gave me the chance to become zero again, to become nothing, to become completely apart, so I could build myself again. I mean, when you're nobody, when you're somebody, it's difficult to change, but when you're nobody, you can really be the best of you again.
So any more questions for Navid? So thank you really much, Navid, for this quite inspiring story.
Thank you.
It's a really nice case to remind us that you always need to move forward and see some positive sides for your life. So should we move on to Sedrick?
Maria, if I can say, Navid, thank you. I saw your page also in Facebook page and woodwork. It looks great. And Digital Wood Artisan is now following your page. You're free to too, if you wish. So keep up the good work. It's great.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Navid. So Laura, we have some time left, right?
Yeah, I think we will finish a few minutes later today, but just don't worry, take your time for your session, and we want everyone to have a space to tell you know, and also for the questions later.
Sure. So Sedrick, are you ready for your story?
Yes.
Great.
Hi everybody. I am Sedrick. I'm from Cameroon. I'm asylum seeker in Cyprus. I'm sorry if my English is not very good, but I went in French school because Cameroon is a bilingual country. My story starts since I was having 8-year-old. I was still a child in my country. That time I realized that I'm different. I'm not like other young boy, a kid, because I was like to be always with my sister or my mother, not to go play football with other boy. So I don't know if my mother also realized this thing, because she at that time she wanted to have me close to her. I was cooking with her, going everywhere with her. Sometimes when she's not there, I was used to take her makeup things to put in my mouth, my lips, this thing. And when my father saw me do this thing, he started to beat me. My father started to beat me. He said that this is not good, this is not good. I wasn't know that this is not good. But as I grow with it, after the death, when I was 11 years old, my mother died. That is when my problem start. After the death of my mother, I was living now only with my father and my brothers. At home, I was the one to cook as usual, but they was always asking me, why you not go play football with other boy? I doesn't like to go to stay with other boy. I was having one of my cousin, the girl in the house. She was my best friend. I used to be with her, wear her clothes sometimes. And when my father see me wear the clothes of my sister, she started to beat me. After my BPC is after the college, the degree you have when you finish lycée. I decided to go at school to become a cook. My father said, no, it's not in our family. You need to be a doctor or something in the medicine. I said, no, I want to be a cook. That is how my father go and put me in the school to be an optician. And after 1 year, he died. And when I was at school, I wasn't no, I wasn't I was not like other people. So I was so different. I was feeling so different. I was thinking that I'm alone in this land, in the world. I'm alone. I was thinking that what I feel, I wasn't know that there is other people also who can feel attracted by men, but man like me. So I was, and myself, I was close to my mind. I was afraid to be open, because when I hear people speak about this thing, they say that in our countries like abomination. First of all, law doesn't allow this. As soon as they realize that you are like that, either population will kill you, or they will put you in jail. So I was so close. I was afraid to be open at school. As I was doing like a girl, when I was child, I was doing like a girl. My brother started to beat me. He started to train me. He said that you need to to take weight to make your body be like a man, not like a girl. He was beating me every time. When he wanted to do this thing, he called me and come and do with me. So I was doing not with my will, but because he's my older brother, I need to do this. And at school, I remember my classmate used to call me because when we are in my country, when you have a younger sister, you need to call her. You need to put Tata before her surname. Tata to me it's like grand. To me that she's to give respect. And at school, my roommate used to call me Tata Sedrick. So it's feminine, like a feminine name. They started to call me Tata Sedrick. I was feeling very sad. One day I went outside to go to see the director to tell him that, "Oh, I don't like when people call me Tata Sedrick." He told me, "You just need to stop doing like a girl. You look like you don't like a girl, but you like only man. That's why they call you Tata Sedrick." But I was doing my best to go to manage myself, and my friend was always girl, not boy, always a girl. And when I was doing my BPC, as I was in mathematics, my professor of mathematics, I was the person who was usually have a first note in mathematics. And after the first second exams, some friend come close to me. They said that, yes, as you are the best student in mathematics, we need to study. We want to study with you. So of course, it will be great to me, because you are best in French, I'm best in mathematics. So we can make like when you learn me, you teach me French, I will teach you mathematics. We was doing like that. And after the second exam, I wasn't at school. It was at one Friday. I wasn't at school. And he sent me a message. He said that the professor, the teacher gave back the exam, the note of the exam, and you have the first note, I have the second note. I say, wow, that is great. We were speaking that by phone. I said, that is great. I said that, and I sent a message. I told you that I start to love you, like because you are you have a good note. I start to love you, and I didn't know. Monday when I come at school, he, because that Friday he took that message. He go to the headmaster of the school. It was a evangelical school. He showed the message. The headmaster started to say that how a man can say to the man that he loved him. No, this is not serious. So Monday, I thought as soon as I arrived at school, people started to be aware of me, and they started to say that no, this is abomination. We need to kill him. This is a sect. Maybe this boy is in the sect. That is why he have a good note like that. Maybe he's do like magic. He's in the sect. How a man can send a message to the man like he love him. When I come and sit down in my class, in the classroom, the headmaster sent someone to come and call me. When I come, they said that it's a discipline meeting. All my professor was there, and that student was there. She told me, the professor asked me why. I said, I sent a message to my friend that I love him. I said, just I love him because we all were together and he have a good note. He was one of the person who have he wasn't have a good note in mathematics, but since we working together, he have a good note. The headmaster said, no, this is homosexuality and we don't like it and we not allow it. It's not allow. We cannot leave you again in this school. Because before go in this school is the one sister of my mother who put me in that school, and that girl was having a good position. She was at that meeting. They told her that it's because of her she didn't call police to come to take me with this message. Is the proof that I'm gay. They will let me go, but I will come at the end of the at the end of when the exam, not the general exam will start, I will come to do only the general exam, and after, so they put me outside. I didn't finish my my normal school. And that day, because I was living at Bafoussam, at that time I was at Bafoussam. At that night, I didn't sleep in my house. I come back in the village where my father built the house, and my landlord, the wife of my landlord, called me at night. She told me, where are you? I said, I'm not at home. She said that people come here, we think, they said that they want to kill you. I'm not understand something. They said that you are gay. I'm not see you like that, something like that. I told her that I don't know. So that is how I leave that house. This is in my country. This is in Bafoussam. I leave that house. So I come to my village and I stay there. At that night, this is the first day I wanted to kill myself. But the only person who was knowing that I'm like that was my sister. I grew with her because we grew together after her GCE O-level. She went to Europe. She's in France. She get married there. It's only her. I tell her that I'm like that. And she told me that you need to be careful. You need to be careful. I know that in Europe you can live your life, but in Africa you cannot, especially in Cameroon. I used to see how they used to kill people there. I said, yes, I manage myself to still keep it in me, but it's natural. It's something natural. I cannot fight with that thing. So at that night, she called me. She said that, and I want to drink Javel. She called me. She said that she feel like something bad will happen to me. I said, no. She told me, are you okay? I said, yes, I'm okay. She said that why she feel like something bad will happen to me, and started to cry in the phone. She said, why are you crying? I explained everything what happened during the day to her. And we started to speak around 4 4 and we finished in the next morning. She was helping me psychologically. She said, no, don't kill yourself. You know, I love you too much. You are my brother. Don't mind the family. I was scared about the family. And after it, at the end of the year, I went to make my exam. I finished my exam to be optician, and I have my my degree. I moved from Bafoussam to go from Douala, and I need to mention that in my country we have 10 regions. I was doing like, if this year I went to school in Douala, next year I need to go to school maybe to Bafoussam. The second year I need to change to go maybe to Yaoundé. So I doesn't want to be in the same town, the same both here, because I was living like hidden. I was scared. I was scared that maybe they can know about my situation. So I was living like that. I was doing changing. The good thing is that my sister was there support me financially to buy the bedroom for me when I changed the town, to change town after town. After my degree to be optician, I come back to Douala. Then Douala, I was living with a cousin because I couldn't. At that time, my sister gave born. She was having now 2 babies. She said that she cannot support me, and I was living with one cousin, and I was going to my work. I was working on Univer Optic, and I found one boy. I found it on, before found him, I remember before found that boy, we have our site, Romeo is one boy who told me that he would see me. He was doing like also like me. He come close to me. He started to chat me. He asked me, are you gay? I said, no, I'm not gay. He said, I know you are gay. I feel it. We know we are gay. I told you that I'm not gay. But he said, okay, let's be friends. But because I was afraid, I couldn't tell him that openly that I'm gay. But as soon as I realized how he do, it was the same thing like me, and we feel this thing. And I tell him one day, you know what? Yes, I'm gay. He's the one to send me. He told me that, go to your phone, download Gay Romeo, and there you can find people, because we live like we hidden. Everybody need to hate himself, scared, because if someone know that you are like that, they can kill you. So that's where I was chatting with one boy. We were speaking, maybe we speak during 6 months, we didn't meet. The day we decided to meet, the boy was in Yaoundé. I said, okay, I will come in Yaoundé for the weekend, so we will meet. When I left the house, I went to Yaoundé. That night, I arrived at Yaoundé late. The boy told me, the boy wasn't gay. It's like people, maybe he was having a friend gay, and the friend told him that this is the site gay people used to find themselves. And he let me know that he's gay, he doesn't gay. At that night when I arrived, he told me that, you know that government doesn't allow those things. Give me all the things you have. He took my computer, he took my phone, he took my money. He said that I leave you alive because you give me all those things, but you need to stop do this life. It's not life, it's an abomination, it's a sect. I said, yes, I will not do, yes. And he left me, and I go back. Because we meet at Yaoundé, and I was living in Douala. When I come back, I didn't know that he's go in my contact. He sent the message to all my contact to tell to my contact that I'm gay. And during the message, it was my family, people of my family. He sent them the message, tell them that he's a policeman. They catch me, I'm gay. They need to send money, this amount of money to release me. Even my sister, where I was living with her, she received the same message, and I was knowing nothing. And she called me that day. She said that, where is your phone? I said that when I was in the market, someone stole my phone in my pocket. I didn't know. She said, who sent me a message with your phone and said that you need to give, or we need to give them money. Are you gay? I said, no, I'm not gay. She called. She said, okay, go at work. That day I went at work. And when I come back at night, there is a family meeting. I doesn't know that nothing was there. Everybody was there. Family meeting, cousin, older brother, all the family was there. As soon as I arrived, they brought me, they said, sit down, sit down. Start, tell us the truth. Are you gay? I said, I'm not gay. When I didn't finish my mom that to say that I'm not gay. My older brother started to slap me. That you lie, you are lying. They started to beat me. You are lying, you are gay. I said, I'm not gay. They started to beat me. I said, you are lying, you are gay. One of my auntie would tell them that leave him alone. He said that he's not gay. Leave him alone. My older brother said that no, he will put a shame to our family. In our family, we don't need gay people. You know, it's the shame. And population people, how people will say, we will kill him, we will kill him. No, no. My sister called one friend of her who is commissaire. The man come at home. He took the phone number. He called the boy. He said that, okay, you said that you are a police. Me too, I'm a police. Where are you working? And tell me where is that Sedrick? I will come there and take him. That man started to insult the friend of my sister. Said that you don't want in the family of gay. You are a family of gay people. You are a family of gay people. That man hung up the call and put it down. He said that, okay, that man wanted just money. Maybe that this boy is not gay. And they started to ask me apologize. And after 2 months, I meet also one boyfriend in Douala, one boy in Douala. We started to meet, we started to be in relationship for two years. We was doing like at midnight, because he was living in his family, he was having his own bedroom. We was doing like at midtime when everybody sleep. Is that time I could leave my house to come on his house, and I started I managed myself to left the house at 4 in the morning, before 4 o'clock in the morning. Or used to do like that. During one day, we was in relationship for 2 years. One weekend, I think it was 20 March 2019 to 29 2019. All his family went to Edea for a wedding, and he told me that come and stay with me this weekend. Everybody is gone, so we can live our life like we have all the house for us. I said, okay, I will come. So I went there, and we spent the weekend. We spent that Friday, Saturday. When we was at home, we was trying to listen the music. We was doing our things like couple. I wasn't half the short. I was with underwear, and he too, he was with underwear. And we was at home. The door was open. His auntie come, and we was going kisses us. His auntie come, and his auntie saw us. And I have to mention that boy, his family, is in the government. His grandfather is a deputy, in the government. So when his auntie called, his auntie saw us. His auntie started to call people. So, whoa, what is it? Oh, and the boy managed himself to cover me, and I tried to escape. I just go there. I remember that day I run only with my underwear, and I couldn't go back to my sister's house. That is where I say I couldn't go back to my sister, because I think that the first time they will remember the first time when the boy sent them the message, then it's like a confirmation. I run to one friend, and that place I remember I break my phone, everything I throw. I went to my
Sedrick,
one, yes.
I really don't want to interrupt your story. It's just a bit, we're running a bit out of time. And if to allow everyone, if they want to ask questions as well, I don't want to interrupt your flow of narrating. It's just if you want to wrap up the story and allow some time
Okay,
for the question.
I just want to explain how I escaped from my country to arrive in Cyprus. So at that time, when I went to a friend's house, I started to speak. I take the phone of my friend. I was speaking with my sister. I don't know how she managed, but in 2 weeks, she said that you will travel, you will leave the country. I doesn't know where to go. She said that everywhere we find, you need to leave the country, because in this point, you everybody know that, and they started to look at you. So it was 13th of March. He told me that this night at midnight you will take a flight. I took a flight. I remember I arrived in Cannes, north side. We started by Istanbul, and after Istanbul we arrived in Cannes, north side. And even in Cannes it wasn't easy. I don't want to explain this because we need to go quickly. It wasn't easy there. They was asking how I get money. I was in the bedroom, in one bedroom for 1 week. They was giving me only water. One day they opened the door and I saw the way to escape. I escaped. It's one person who helped me to cross and arrive in Cyprus. When I arrived in Cyprus, it was for April, the same year. I sleep in the garden 2 days because that Friday was, I arrived that Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. The Monday was one holiday, something, bank holidays. Immigration wasn't open. It's Tuesday, I went to immigration like that in Cyprus. So, and after it, when I leave from Cyprus, it was another challenge in Cyprus because when I leave from the immigration, they bring me for immigration to do all the blood tests, everything. It was another challenge because when they leave me, I went to the church to live with another black, and they realized that I was gay because even between there is more black here. Segregation started between us black in Cyprus. When they realized that I'm gay, my life was in danger. I remember when I left the house, I come that they take my back with my clothes, they put everything outside. They say that they don't like what gay, they don't need gay people. It's not because we are in Europe and I will do like European people, some do this thing. And I went to Caritas. I speak with Christo. He said that you need I said to speak to, I need a psychologist. It's that psychologist who helped me a lot. I started to speak with him up to now. I'm with him and he helped me, and I found a house. I have a boyfriend now in Cyprus, and that boy is also the person. He made so many things in my life, so many things with his family. And even I don't want to explain about my situation with, it's not all the Cypriot. I understand there is also Cypriot who are gay, also they're living hidden, because even the Cypriots doesn't, they are in Europe, but there's still this segregation between gay, like that.
Thank you, Sedrick, for this quite emotional again and extensive story. It's a good thing that you have like a good ending here, and we saw a lot of themes like from violence to all the way to acceptance. Does anyone have any questions for Sedrick? Okay, so big thank you to Sedrick and Navid for today's stories. It was really good to have like a real life experiences shared with us today. And it's really good that both of you were able to open up and be able to share these stories without feeling any sorts of shame or fear. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we were a bit further of the time scheduled for today, but this session, required it because we touched very sensitive and delicate topics for today's society, which I think is in line with the theme of social inclusion we wanted to talk about today. As always, I send you the evaluation questionnaire, so please complete it before you end this session. And I would like to thank you, all of us, for taking part today as well. Unless you don't have anything you would like to ask or any questions, I would say I would close today. Please.
Just one thing, just remember to add the names and the details of all the participants in the 40 hours agenda so we can create the certificates of attendance. Okay, for the one missing.
So see you tomorrow then for our last session. Tomorrow we will have a bigger evaluation because it will be the end, of the training, and we will just wrap this up, this online event. Thank you for your participation and your presence again today. So see you tomorrow for the last day. And thank you for staying with us until the end. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Take care.
everyone.
See you tomorrow. Bye.